happy Tuesday. Welcome into the program. It is Talk Football with Coach K. Joe Ford and Coach K. Stevenson in studio with you for the next hour, dissecting and discussing everything from around the world of college and professional football. 12:15, Vic Carucci will join the program. You may be familiar with his work, a long time on ESPNNFL.com. Now he's on Sirius XM Radio. Also writer covering the Buffalo Bills. Bills, one of the more surprising teams coming in at 3-0, so we'll get to talk to Vic coming up at 12:15 today. Coach, how are you today?
Doing well, Joe. Good to be here.
Yeah, so we had Monday Night Football last night. The Chicago Bears over the Washington Redskins last night. I think you picked the Redskins to win. I picked the Redskins to at least cover. So we were both off on that one. Dominant performance by the monsters of the Midway on the defensive side of the ball. Also, we saw Mitch Trubisky put together a performance including 3 touchdowns. So a lot to like from Chicago, and really looked like a home game for the Bears in Maryland yesterday. A lot of Bears fans all over the place.
Yeah, in fact, they had a lot of fans.
Yeah, they felt right at home.
There's a lot of fans there. That was surprising. But to be honest with you, the Bears looked much better, but combine that with the fact that Washington didn't play very well either, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, the turnovers are just were atrocious, and I think he had 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles. You can't win that way, and but the Bears, give them credit. They really played exceptionally well, and I thought they did a good job of controlling the game, the passing game, for Trubisky, in getting some good early shots for him to get some completions and put a little confidence, in his bonnet as he went forward, and then he did. He did. He played much better. I don't, I'm not saying that's going to change anybody's opinion from quarterback of the Chicago Bears to All-Pro. But anyway, it was an interesting game. I think that division again, as we look at that division, Joe, Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit. I think with what Detroit is obviously getting better as a football team, and the Bears took a step in the right direction to correct some things last night. Boy, that division looks really tough.
Yeah, I saw a stat. I want to say that the NFC North teams are 7-0-1 against teams outside of the division. You and I both said before the season that the NFC North would be the toughest division, and it certainly looks like it's playing out that way. Now that we're 4 weeks in, given what we've seen some head-to-head matchups now with the Vikings, Bears, and the Packers all kind of playing each other a little bit. The Packers 2-0 in the division. Would your power ranking of those 4 teams stay the same now at this point as it was before the season started?
Yeah, I had Minnesota ranked at the top of the division, Green Bay second, Chicago third, Detroit fourth. Right now, I'd keep that the same, but that certainly could change, and we're all aware of that. But I would keep it the same at this point.
Another interesting development in the NFL. Yesterday we were talking about Cam Newton and how he had already been ruled out for Week 4, and now the newest information that we're getting from The Athletic is that Cam Newton will be out indefinitely, as it is believed that he is dealing with a Liz Frank injury to his foot. The team is hopeful to avoid surgery, but he will need an extended period on the sideline of rehab and rest there. So they're hoping to be able to rehab it back to where he can, do everything that he needs to do, use his arm and his legs. There was clearly something wrong a couple of weeks ago in that Thursday night game against the Buccaneers, and now we're learning more information about what exactly is going on with Cam Newton. So as far as the Panthers are concerned, Coach, if we were talking about Cam Newton looking at an extended period on the sidelines before Sunday, maybe we have a different outlook. It is one. It is just one game, and that's certainly important to remember here. But Kyle Allen, the way that he was able to move the offense, he threw 4 touchdowns with no interceptions. Got Christian McCaffrey going. It was a different offense, but it was an effective, efficient offense. Yes, against the Cardinals, but how are you thinking and how are you feeling about the Panthers moving forward without Cam Newton for an extended period of time, but knowing they may be able to get by with Kyle Allen?
I will be very honest with you. I think there are some people on that Panther staff. They would never admit it, but I think they're kind of glad to see the situation as it is. Allen, it's too unpredictable the other way with Cam Newton right now. Not only the injury situation, Joe, but you don't know. He is a moody guy. You don't know where his moods are going to take him, whether he's going to be up for a game, whether it's just going to be a melancholy week for him. You just don't know. So I think they feel pretty good with this young kid. They'll be looking to bring this kid along as much as they possibly can, as quick as they can.
One interesting development that I wanted to get your thoughts on, Coach, in the world of college football and today's college football, especially when we talk about the players who are kind of empowered to take action into their own hands. For example, the transfer portal is something that is in the lexicon now that wasn't even going back 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And the other interesting development has been the red shirt rule that the NCAA made the change to. I believe it was last year, where it used to be kind of like a certain percentage of games, and now I think that they kind of just made it by week 4. You have to make the decision, or if a player is going to redshirt, then week 4 is kind of the cutoff there. A couple of notable players for the Houston Cougars, quarterback D'Eriq King as well as Keith Corbin, who's a senior wide receiver. Coach, both of them making the decision to take a red shirt for the rest of this year and then, at least for now, come back for Houston next year. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this because this is something that is unusual, that we haven't seen the redshirt rule used in this manner. The father of D'Eriq King, his name is Eric, told ESPN in part that this is the best situation for his son moving forward, both as a development as a player, also professional future, and to avoid having a, quote, wasted year. Now, Houston is 1-3 on the season. Doesn't look like they're going to get to accomplish all their goals. So, at least for somebody with a very limited grasp, and the only people that really know what's going on are the players themselves and why they're making this decision. But it seems like the players are kind of holding out with the hopes that the team will be better next year to maybe enhance their draft status or maybe help make themselves look better. Just wanted to get your thoughts on this and if this is a good thing for the game and these players as individuals.
You're exactly right. I mean, that is a major element in this decision-making process. Do I think it's right or good? I think it's terrible for the kids. It gives them an excuse to bail on something that they should be trying to get better at each week and improve the situation. But hey, that's life. They've got a chance to better themselves, they feel. And so my problem is I don't know that they're bettering themselves. What if it's the same next year? What do you do then? And anyway, you just don't bail on. What about those guys that are seniors this year? Well, what do? You're bailing out and leaving them there behind, pick up the pieces. No, I don't like it, but it's a fact of life now.
Yeah, and so much can be learned, and I know that we kind of live in a day and age, and I think regardless of how old you are, the era that you grew up in, I mean, there's certainly an element to whatever generation you grow up in of wanting to avoid adversity. I mean, nobody likes adversity, nobody appreciates it and wants to go through that, but so much out of life and so much of our learning experience growing up as kids into early adulthood and adulthood and later on in life. So many of the lessons that we learn and the experiences that make us better people are through those adverse times, not when everything is coming up sunshine and roses. And Coach, I'm with you. Again, I'm all for empowerment of the individual. I'm all for empowerment of the athlete. When it comes to making their decisions, but this move to me really comes off that we don't want to go through adversity because we feel like it somehow makes us look worse. Um, and especially at the quarterback position, I don't know what De'Aaron King's prospects are as an NFL quarterback. I know he had like 50 touchdowns some like last year, so maybe he's not a prototypical pro prospect, but maybe an NFL team could use him, whether at quarterback or another position. But you take a look at the quarterbacks in the National Football League. Very few come from the teams like the Bamas and the Ohio States, where everything just seems tailor-made for them, and they have all kinds of weapons to go to. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks in the National Football League, a lot of them come from programs where you're not expected to do well, and you're not expected on a week-in, week-out basis to have the athletes that are just better than everybody else. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, because the NFL is all about adversity. Go week in, week out basis. I mean, nothing goes right from week to week. And I guess, long story short, I mean, I think that this is a move that I think deep down, I think they will regret down the road.
Well, I think we both feel the same way. Yes, I think they'll regret it, and to some extent, I think it's going to stunt their maturation process. So anyway, it's a tough draw, and I tell you what, our buddy who left West Virginia to go down to Houston may be having some second thoughts now himself.
Maybe. Dana Holgerson there, yeah, going from West Virginia to Houston. They're paying him a lot of money though, so we'll see how he's able to keep the program moving and hopefully build off the success that Tom Herman was able to do before he moved to Texas. We'll take our first time out. Coming back, we'll talk with Vic Carucci, NFL reporter, covers the Buffalo Bills. You've seen him on ESPN, NFL.com. You've seen him all over the place covering the National Football League. We'll talk to Vic next. It's coming back on Talk Football with Coach K, ESPN Pensacola 1330, 99.1 FM.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every dollar spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Sometimes for inspiration, you just have to look up. For more than 60 years, the Goodyear blimp has fueled greatness on the gridiron by providing aerial coverage of some of the most legendary moments in college football history. When the Goodyear blimp rises above a stadium, it inspires players to reach higher and rise to the challenge of the game's biggest moments. Now it's your turn to go further with Goodyear. Discover tires made to rise above the rest. Learn more at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, more driven.
Golic and Wingo.
A different host from ESPN Radio from around the country is going to make their pick in our Survivor pool.
This is Davis Allen from ESPN Pensacola, and my pick for the Golic and Wingo Survivor pool is Kansas City over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That might be the toughest game on the board week 1, and Pensacola is swinging with Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes.
5 to 9 every weekday morning. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola, 1330.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330, 99.1 FM. It's Talk Football with Coach K, live every weekday, noon to 1. I'm Joe Ford, he's Coach K. And one of the more surprising stories of the young football season is a pair of 3-0 teams in the AFC East. The Patriots, the long-running favorites there. Coach, before the season, we both thought that the New York Jets might kind of emerge as that second team in the division, but it's been the Buffalo Bills. And joining us on the line now, Vic Carucci. You've heard him on Sirius XM, NFL.com, ESPN.com, all over the place now, covers the Buffalo Bills. Vic, thanks so much for the time today.
My pleasure. Always happy to join you guys.
Always great to be with you, Vic. And, in addition to being the past president of Pro Football Writers Association and all the things you just talked about, but Vic's a very close friend, and so I appreciate him taking the time to be with us. I know this is a very, very busy time of the year for him. Vic, the Buffalo Bills, what do you think? 3-0, my friend.
Yeah, it's it's an impressive start, and I say this, and I know you would say this as a coach. It's very difficult to win in the league, and you take when your record says you're 3-0, it means you're 3-0. Trying to overanalyze, as some people will always do. Well, how much quality is behind these wins? How tough were the opponents? And of course, you could look at the records and say the combined records of the three teams they've faced, the Jets, Giants, and Bengals, isn't very impressive. But so what? The Bills got the job done, and it wasn't easy, especially in two of those games where they had to come back to win the games. But by the same token, when you look at other unbeaten teams, I assure you they're not sitting there saying, well, we're 3-0, but we had some struggles here and there. You can't waste your time on that, and I don't think the Bills are.
No, and you have to remember, excuse me, this is the National Football League, not college football. You can get some patsies in college football, but that doesn't happen. Anybody can beat you on any Sunday, as we all know. And of course, the young quarterback, I'm very, very impressed. Now, first, I will say, don't worry about a weak opponent coming up this weekend for Buffalo.
That you got that right.
They got the big dog coming in.
Yep.
But fortunately, they're going to have them there in Buffalo. I think it's ideal to have them there in the home game.
Yes. And let me just insert this quickly, Kay, because I had a conversation with Bill Belichick this morning. He was on a conference call. They did it with Buffalo media, and he was asked about playing in Orchard Park, a place you know very, very well. And the point he made is, when you look at the wide landscape of the league and different stadiums outside of his own, when you're on the road as the Patriots, he's saying that, this is a place where it's not the big, the luxury suites and all. I mean, they've got them, but compared to some other places where some people show up to sort of be seen at the game, aren't really they're there, but are they really watching it? Are they really paying attention? Are they really cheering? He's saying that the vast majority of anybody occupying a seat in Buffalo is there for the football game, and there to to do their job and try to help the home team by making a lot of noise. And he said that's not something you find in every single place in the NFL.
Well, I couldn't agree with him more. I think that's exactly right, spot on. And it makes a big difference. It really does. Vic, let's talk about that young quarterback. He really looked to me coming out to be have some accuracy problems, maybe some delivery problems, but he seems to have corrected some of that. And I know that they're doing a good job getting things that are easier for him to get the ball to receivers quickly and so on, which is good coaching. But let's talk about that quarterback, because he is a tough kid, and the more I see of him, the more I like him.
Yes, well, there's a lot there to like, and you're seeing the right things, Kay, because he definitely was a quarterback who I thought, as you saw last year, so raw and rough around the edges, and there's still some rawness there and still some rough edges there, but he's made significant jumps from a year ago, and especially in that area you mentioned, accuracy, through his work on his own with Jordan Palmer, his quarterback guru out in Southern California, the brother of Carson Palmer. That helped because they addressed those specific areas through footwork and again, things you know a lot better than I do in terms of correcting accuracy, having coached that and coached the position and played the position. But that's one thing. And then, of course, the focus of his off-season work with the team, with not only Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator, but they brought in Ken Dorsey. He's the new QB's coach this year. He replaced David Culley, and he's of course a former quarterback in the league and coached that position. Coached Cam Newton very well down in Carolina. And if you ask Josh, he just gushes with praise for the work that Ken Dorsey has done with him, and it's showing up in these 3 games. I mean, you had a guy last year who in 11 starts had 2 games of 60% or more completion percentage. He's been above that mark in all 3 games. So he is on pace to definitely exceed that low. He had about a 53% number, 52.8, I guess it was, at the end of last season after 11 starts. So in his first 3 starts this year, he's in a good place.
Vic Carucci, our guest with the NFL writer, Bills writer for the Buffalo News. And Vic, I wanted to ask you about the running backs up there in Buffalo. I feel like when the world ends, we'll all be gone, but Frank Gore will still be there. And he'll still be averaging 3.3 yards per carry in a game against the Zombies. But another young guy that they have, Devin Singletary, who's turning a lot of heads and doing great job. Wanted to get your thoughts on what the Bills coaching staff really sees, how this running back depth shakes out. Do they expect Singletary to maybe kind of take over down the line, or just kind of filling the role that he has been early on?
No, first of all, I love that zombie analogy. The guy first. Let's talk about Frank Gore for a moment, because you bring him in at 36, and of course you invest a third-round draft pick in Devin Singletary from Florida Atlantic, and anyone who watched him as a collegiate player knows there's something special there. I think had he shown more open field breakaway speed as a collegian, Buffalo never gets to get a sniff at him in the third round. That was the one thing that in the scouting reports that just seemed to be lacking. Well, I'll tell you what, having watched him in just 2 games that he's gotten to play so far, not even the 2 full games before suffering a hamstring injury against the Giants in week 2, he's showing that explosiveness and that special quality. But even after bringing him, even with drafting him, the signing of Gore, 15-year player, 36 years old, I think has brought more to the running game than just his physical presence and execution. He's meant a lot to Devin Singletary in that meeting room, and I think once they moved on from LaShawn McCoy, who obviously had a great career, 10,000-plus yards, a Hall of Fame type of credentials, but once they released him at 31 and decided to keep the 36-year-old Gore, the strategy there is, look, Singletary is a younger version of McCoy, and Gore is that pounding, that different style, kind of change-up player, but also a gritty, dependable, in the clutch. When you're trying to make a fourth-quarter comeback, he's there for you. And he really, they didn't miss a beat without Singletary. Now, I think it helped that the Bengals' run defense is terrible, and you saw what San Francisco had done with them in week 2, running on them. Buffalo did too, and they did that running thing very effectively. And I think it's vital going into this New England game, with or without Devin Singletary, again, who's healing with that hamstring, that they stay true to balance and try to run it and help a young quarterback, help Josh Allen out with giving Gore a healthy, I say a healthy, I mean enough to kind of help carry the load without overdoing it with a 36-year-old body.
Vic, the comparison to Gore would be what Conrad Dobler did for us when we brought him in. Kind of a broken down old man,
yep.
But boy, he made us tougher, and we led the league in number of sacks, fewest number of sacks 2 years in a row. But anyway,
that's a great comparison. Attitude matters. Okay, again, I'm telling you, you tell me that, but I'm just saying that's what I've learned from watching through the years, watching how you with Norm Pollum, put a football team together back in the day, and it's what was true in the early 1980s and much sooner. You go back to the start of this game is true in 2019. Your roster composition isn't just let's just get the greatest talent we can find at every spot and put it together. Guess what? We all know that's a fallacy. Talent doesn't always speak to other things. And I'm not just in reference to the problems that occurred with Antonio Brown and so forth, extreme cases. I'm just talking about the subtle things that you don't necessarily think about, but attitude and wisdom and someone you can lean on, a young guy can turn to, because again, it's not always the coaches that have the best advice.
Yeah, and they respect these older guys, especially with a guy that has any reputation, whatsoever in the league. They respect him. a great deal, and they listen to what they have to say. Listen, let's jump here quickly, if you will. Daniel Jones down in New York, and you're close to all the hullabaloo that goes on in New York City with that press all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But felt like this kid was going to be a good one. I thought it was a good pick. I, like so many others, were at the time thought to be crazy that they picked Daniel Jones with the 6th pick of the first round.
Right.
But what is the prevailing wisdom and attitude of the people in your industry right now, Vic?
Yeah, I would say, well, all unfortunately, good or bad, it's overreaction. But because he's played one game, and granted, it was impressive. He was impressive in the preseason as well. So, there's a fair amount of, in New York, a fair amount of "I told you so" too. Like, should have gone with this guy from the beginning, and this was always the better way to go than Eli Manning, who was, who's looks like he's nearing the end, and so on and so forth, and wanting to kind of count him out. And then there was that hesitation of, but he is Eli. We've seen some of the amazing things he's done. Let's let this young kid, give him a little more time to kind of watch. Well, I'll tell you what, we know the reality of this game anymore is you can't afford to do that. Coaches, GMs, they don't get that time. The clock is always ticking, on their job security. I think the heat has obviously been turned up heavily in New York, and I've known Pat Shurmur a long time. We worked together in Cleveland. I certainly have known Dave Gettleman, and I think he was in Buffalo as a scout. It might have been when you were here, or not, or I should say not long afterward. And Dave's been in this league a long time and now he's the GM there in New York. You've got to make a move. You've got to do that thing that I think makes when it starts as bad as it did. And I watched Eli in person in week 2, and Kay, it was tough to watch. Proud, outstanding player. Where the Bills took away the line of scrimmage. I mean, Saquon Barkley got some yards. He did have a 27-yard touchdown run. I'm not trying to say that they completely shut him down, but he didn't hurt them the way he can hurt a team, hurt a defense. And because they sat back there and said, "Okay, Eli, beat us." And when you're at that, when that level of disrespect is there from a defense, and Buffalo definitely had that disrespect for him, that tells you better move on, and the Giants did.
Yeah, I agree, and I wish that Eli could have played the whole year, and played sufficient enough that they could have done fairly well with him, and let this kid have a year without having to play. But it is what it is, and listen, I think this kid is going to be a very, very good quarterback in the NFL. Now, admittedly, one game in the preseason does not a career make.
Right.
But,
and one start. You definitely got to see more. But I do look. They loved. There was something that, and credit to Dave Gettleman for going after him, making that pick. Credit to Pat Shurmur to seeing what they saw in him to bring him aboard. But after that, it's got to, he's got to deliver and bring the goods, and we're seeing that. We saw that, I should say. Will we see it continue through the whole year? That remains to be seen. But just again, the unfortunate realities of this league are clock's ticking. Clock is always ticking. On the people in charge. Yeah.
Well, that's for sure. But it wasn't too difficult. I won't get into all that now. It wasn't too difficult to see that this kid had a chance to be a very, very good quarterback in the National Football League.
Right.
He checked all the squares, the ones that I would have there, looking at a quarterback. And when I went out and worked Joe Montana out in Los Angeles when he was coming out of school, I gave him a no-make-it grade in the National Football League. But I went back to Notre Dame, looked at the film, and of course changed the grade on him. But he was drafted in the 4th round. You know, you'd forget it. And the genius didn't have him rated too high either.
Yeah, you had a lot of company in that one. A lot of people, a lot of famous stories about how they just saw other and we can go down the list through the league of how many guys have been overlooked and ended up being Hall of Famers. Yeah,
right. But anyway, this kid checked all the boxes. In many ways, and I won't bore you with that or the people on listening in. But let's get back to while I've got you on the phone, if you don't mind. Let's talk about the National Football League more overall here, Vic. We've just been discussing, and I think the game last night was another great indicator of how tough that North Division is, Central Division in the NFC. With Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago, and Detroit getting better. Detroit's playing better, as you might expect that they would at some point. But that is a tough division. The toughest, I would think.
Yeah, I think it's brutal. And you got, look, is Mitchell Trubisky starts to find himself. I had my doubts about him, but he's, that was a good sign of progress. The Redskin defense might have had something to do with that as well. But again, I'm not going to discredit a guy for doing, performing well and for showing that he's better than what the opposition had to try to stop him. He made the most of those targets. He's got the arm talent, and it's just a matter of, kind of growing, I think, still into himself and his position. Oftentimes we unfairly want to judge players based on draft status, and when you're drafted the way he was, as high as he was, there's a sense of, okay, show me what you are and show me you deserve that. Well, there are some growing pains, and he's had them. And even when the team's won, I think the best thing he's got going for him is that defense. My God, how dominant and scary that is, because I think that's the real thing. That defense is just brutal and brutally tough, I should say. And they will. There's no question in my mind that they're going to. Be formidable, but Mike Zimmer, what he's got with the Vikings is impressive. And then you mentioned the Lions, once again, Matt Patricia as a head coach, year 2, growing into his skin and job in that way. And then, of course, the Packers, when you look at a rookie head coach there in Matt LaFleur and figuring out that relationship with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I think the best part for Matt as a young coach, and I think he can allow himself to do this. Hopefully, for his sake, he will. He's got a goat. He's got a goat of a quarterback, and he's got to let that guy be the goat most of the time, and probably have some deference there. I know coaches want to control as much as they can, if not everything, but this is Aaron Rodgers, and that you're not going to be great unless he's great. So there's that.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe so with some coaches, but I would think there are a great many coaches, Vic, that would be more than happy for the quarterback. Number one, they'd have to feel that they were qualified, and certainly Rodgers is qualified, Brady's qualified. Those are Breeze is qualified. They can go out and give you an offensive coordinator on the field. But let me jump to something here. We're going to have to let you go, I know, here shortly. But let me jump to something that may be of interest, certain interest to people here in this area.
Sure.
There are some, I know you talk to media people all over the country, but there's a certain number of good quarterbacks that'll be coming out this year. What do you hear on the college quarterback scene? What do you hear about those that are being rated right now, Vic?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the landscape is interesting, and so if you look at the two, I guess, obvious spots where great quarterbacking has emerged, but it's also, and this is, I want to focus on just the individuals, but sometimes my eye gets pulled in other directions from the same team because of the rest of the team. But like I look at a Jalen Hurts, and I think there's your obvious, okay, Heisman guy. Does that mean he's the best quarterback to come out there? But I think he's definitely an amazing player, and he's a guy you've got to look at and say that he stands alone, but he's also on a hell of a team. He has a lot to do with that team being great. So on that, in that regard, I think there's a lot of people keeping an eye there. Tua Tagovailoa is another in Alabama. There's excitement galore there, and rightfully so. But again, that's a great program. That's a great line. I mean, what's surrounding him is so good. Are you making sure you're getting the goods when you've seen him come out? We've seen other Bama quarterbacks, obviously, maybe not necessarily be as great when they're out of the program. And I know in Miami there's a lot of talk that they're tanking for Tua. Maybe that's the right way to go. And there's even been theories that they didn't care about giving up their left tackle because by bringing him in, as a left-handed quarterback, it's more about the right tackle. Well, I know a lot has to happen between now and draft day, including this kid being healthy and everything they want him to be. But I'd say those are the obvious areas, and then you and I both know scouts are going to come through with some good players that either show up and trend upward in the lower part or even higher in the first round or within the second day.
Yeah, let me ask you about two very quickly, and we're going to have to go here up against it. But Fromm, the kid at Georgia, and also Herbert out at Oregon.
I like both of those guys a lot, and I think the good thing about both of them, too, is they're coming out of programs where I think they're in many ways, get conditioned to be good NFL. I mean, I should say good. The transition to the NFL it maybe isn't as difficult as it could be for other players, just based on scheming, coaching, all those things.
Interesting. Vic, I can't thank you enough, my friend. Look forward to talking to you again, and maybe if possible, we could get back with you before the season's over.
That would be a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you, Vic.
All right.
All right, thanks again to Vic Carucci, NFL and a Buffalo Bills reporter with the Buffalo News. A lot of interesting stuff there. We'll take a quick time out, come back more, discuss our NFL power rankings for the new week. That's coming back. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K, ESPN Pensacola 1330, 99.1 FM.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. If you're tailgating before the game, don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every dollar spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Hello, everybody. You're looking live at Fansville, a college football utopia. Fansville. Where the rivers flow with ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Delicious. Where every day is Saturday and everyone's a fan, even babies. Fan babies. And the seasons never change because the only season is college football season. Get a taste of Fansville this fall during a college football game near you. Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Grab some today.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Bucks.
Oh, what a great audience. Let's dim the lights for this next one. Nope, too much. There it is. Gotta get things just right. Like Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Tell us what you want to pay, and we help you find coverage options that fit your budget. And now, the mood is right. Wait, the lights are back on again. Trudy, can you? And now it's completely dark.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to the program. Talk football with Coach K, ESPN Pensacola 1330. 99.1 FM. Again, thanks to Vic Carucci, NFL and Buffalo Bills reporter for the Buffalo News. Also hear him on Sirius XM Radio, NFL.com, ESPN. He's been all over the place and a very well-known, very well-respected voice on all things NFL. Again, thanks to him. Coach, let's do it. We had the Monday Night Football game last night. The Chicago Bears now 2-1. We'll see if they make your list of the top 10 teams in the NFL, headed now into week number 4. Coach, for me, pretty easy 1-2, same as last week. The New England Patriots followed by the Kansas City Chiefs. For me,
I would certainly agree with you on that. I don't think too many people would disagree.
Absolutely. Number 3 for me, Coach, I have the Dallas Cowboys 3-0. I realize that the competition hasn't been that difficult, but I just like the way that they're playing. I like Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. I have the Cowboys at 3.
You know, I'm going to move them up to 3 as well because I don't think that you can play too much better overall than they're playing us offensively, defensively, special teams. They're really putting it all together.
The Rams, another 3-0 team, got the win Sunday night against the Browns in Cleveland. Clearly not the same team as last year, but they're going to be tough to beat for anyone. So I have the Rams at 4, just ahead of the Packers.
I really think I'm not sure about the Rams, to be honest with you, but I think we've got to put them there just by virtue of the fact that they're undefeated at this point. And hey, it's worth something.
Yeah, and again, the Packers for me, Coach, checking in at number 5. They have not looked as great as the teams above them, but the quality of the wins I think are really important for me. They've beaten the Vikings, they've beaten the Bears, and the Broncos. The lesser of the 3 wins there, but 3-0 is 3-0. And just the quality of 2 of those 3 wins I really like there. Following them, I have the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're the best of the 2-1 teams.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I wouldn't switch Green Bay and the Vikings. I will know this week. I think they play again this week.
I have to look that up.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Green Bay plays the Vikings again. But at this point, I would almost switch those teams right there. Put Vikings and then Green Bay.
By the way, the Packers are playing the Eagles on Thursday night.
I'm sorry, it's Eagles.
Yeah.
Right.
But hey, still a quality opponent. The Eagles disappointing at 1-2. After the Vikings coach, I have another 2-1 team. I'm still high on, although you brought up some excellent points about just the passing game being limited. But I really like the Ravens defense, and I think that their running game probably the best in the National Football League. So I have the Ravens coming in at number 7.
I don't have a lot of confidence in the Ravens. I think they're going to really run into some problems mid to late year. I just don't see them being an all-around outstanding football team. I think I'd rather put an ascending team right there. I see Baltimore as being a team that will plateau and be a descending football team. An ascending football team, I would put there the 49ers, and they're undefeated.
Yeah, 49ers are undefeated. Another 2-1 team because I guess I look at it. Who would I think would be favored if those two teams played on a neutral field? And the 49ers are 3-0. A lot of turnovers that they got away with. I think a better team than Pittsburgh probably beats them a week ago. I put the New Orleans Saints in there at number 8. I think the Saints are going to, once they get Drew Brees back, I see no reason to think why they won't be at the top of that division. Doesn't really seem like the Falcons or the Panthers or the Buccaneers want to kind of take advantage. So for me, I was really impressed with what the Saints did over the weekend, going into Seattle and getting it done.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. I like the Saints, and to play with the backup quarterback and control a football game like they did. Hey, a tough place to play is Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up next, Coach, I had the Houston Texans again at 2-1. Really impressed. Week 1, they got the win out west a week ago, kind of sandwiched between that really weird game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they very easily could be a 3-0, probably just as easy as they could be 0-3 at this point. But Houston getting it done. Deshaun Watson, a lot to like there.
I look at them as being likely 0-3 football team. I would put Buffalo there, 3-0.
And the other team, Coach, to round out my top 10, the Indianapolis Colts. Really impressed with what Jacoby Brissett has done. The coaching staff, the players that they have, they are rallying around each other, and a big win against the Falcons this past weekend. Colts, a surprising 2-1, but I have them finishing out my top 10.
I like the Colts too, and of course I pull for them. I pull for people.
Yeah.
I pull for Frank Reich.
Absolutely. Frank Reich, one of the better coaches in the National Football League, and I think he's going to prove it to a lot of people this year. So that's a look at our top 10 power rankings for week number 3 of the NFL football season. And week number 4 gets started on Thursday night. Big showdown, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. Quick timeout, and we'll come back to wrap things up on a Tuesday. Talk football with Coach K, ESPN Pensacola 1330, 99.1 FM.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Dude, it's game day, and I'm fired up that football is back.
I know, but I'm bummed they don't show my favorite team on TV around here.
All right, well, what about that place Calvert's? They're a really cool English pub-style restaurant, and they have a really good drink menu.
Yeah, but what about the game?
Don't worry, they have the NFL Sunday Ticket and plenty of TVs, so we can watch any game that we want.
Ooh, I just looked at the menu and that Abbey Road burger is calling my name.
Calvert's in the Heights Restaurant and Bar, 3102 East Cervantes Street, calvertsintheheights.com.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
If you're a small business owner, there's no better place to find the impact hire to help your business than LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs takes the time to learn more about who you're looking for and then recommends qualified candidates from their community of engaged and career-minded people, candidates who you likely won't be able to reach anywhere else. The truth is, over 70% of the U.S. workforce is on LinkedIn, and posting your job on LinkedIn gives you the best chance of finding and starting a conversation with your next star recruit. It's no surprise a new hire is made every 8 seconds using LinkedIn. So build your winning team by posting a job on LinkedIn and visit linkedin.com/sports to get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports for $50 off your first job post. linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
The key on offense is going to be whether Franks can come back and duplicate what he did in the last 4 games.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Welcome to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Pensacola's home to the best talk in sports, new and improved. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 and FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola, 1330.
Final segment of the program. It'll be a short one. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Joe Ford. He's Coach K. Quick little news item here. UCF boosting their non-conference schedule in the future, announcing home-and-home series with Boise State and BYU. So that's coming to a future schedule near you. Looks like 2021 2023, 2024 timeline, so it shouldn't be too long there, but a couple years away there. But UCF, give them credit, they're taking some additional steps to beef up the schedule. That's, of course, has been the criticism for the past few years. So UCF adding Boise State and BYU to their future schedules. So I do want to take a moment here before we get out of here, some housekeeping items. So last week we tried to launch a weekly contest involving a pick'em contest with 4 college and 4 NFL games. We initially put that on Facebook. It was just the easiest thing to do for all of you. You could just go onto our Facebook page, make your picks. So, unbeknownst to us, that was not allowed according to the Facebook terms. So we had to set up another way for folks to make their picks. In trying to review those picks, we have discovered that we cannot see the individuals who make those picks. So we are reversing course now and offering an email address. We have the email address set up, and we will be announcing tomorrow the email address and the next week's picks. The email address, contest.espnpensacola@gmail.com. So we will post all that information to our Facebook page and come back with a new slate of games so we can start over from scratch. So our apologies for the snafu last week. Calvert's gift certificates to give away for the rest of the season. That'll do it for us today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF